Hey guys and gals, this is Radar Roy, and I'm sitting here in my Freightliner this morning to address perhaps what is one of the most frequently asked questions we get on my RadarRoy.com blog, and also my buyer's guide at RadarRoy'sBuyersGuide.com, and that is, what are the laws regarding radar detectors and jammers? This is going to be a two-part video series. This first part, the video that you're watching right now, is going to address radar detector laws. And we're going to start off with addressing what are the laws in your passenger vehicle and radar detectors. So, radar detectors are legal in your passenger vehicle in all 50 states, with the exception of two, and that's Virginia and Washington, D.C. Now, there are areas within these states that radar detectors may be prohibited, and specifically those will be military bases. If you're driving on a military base, regardless where it is, radar detectors are illegal. Now, since 9/11, security checkpoints are very, very prevalent on military bases. So before entering any type of military base, and to avoid any problems with the military police officers, please take the time and disconnect your radar detector from your dash and unplug it so you're not going to have any problems. Now, there's some other concerns with mounting radar detectors that you need to be made aware of. And those are specifically in the states of Minnesota and California. Minnesota has a law that basically prohibits any device mounted to your windshield. Now, California has a similar law, but there are exclusions. And one exclusion in California is the mounting of a toll transponder to your windshield. You can mount a toll transponder as long as it's smaller than 5 inches and it's in the centermost portion of your windshield high. There is also an exclusion for a GPS device, as long as you mount your GPS to the lower leftmost portion of your windshield, not to exceed an area of 7 inches. Now, there's no exceptions for radar detectors. Now, I wouldn't try really pushing the law, because now that the Escort 9500iX and the GX65 is actually a radar detector and a GPS device, I really wouldn't want to test the law in California with a highway patrolman if that's a legal device or not. So you might just want to concern yourself with maybe some other mounting options for your radar detector, such as mounting it up on your sun visor or mounting it on your dash perhaps with some Velcro. Now, if you do mount your radar detector on your dashboard, this is something else you need to concern yourself with, and that's if your airbags deploy. You do not want any of your cabling that might be going to your cigarette lighter or your radar detector itself to be mounted in a fashion where it's going to affect the deployment of your airbags. You don't want this cable or this radar detector flying at your face. So, please mount your radar detector in a manner that you're not going to be blocking any of the areas where your airbag is going to deploy. Now I'll discuss commercial vehicles. Title 49 of the Motor Carrier Safety Act prohibits the mounting or operation of any radar detector in a commercial vehicle weighing over 10,000 pounds. Well, perhaps right now you're watching this video and you're probably asking yourself, well, how are police officers going to know if I have a radar detector installed in my vehicle if I have it hidden from view and not mounted on the dashboard or windshield? Well, police have devices that they can use to detect if your car has a radar detector. One of the earlier devices was called a VG2, and basically all radar detectors emit RF, radio frequency, and the earlier VG2 devices, or radar detectors, or RDDs, would detect this emission of the RF. Now, Beltronics was able to figure out if they just moved their spectrum for their oscillators to a different frequency, that the radar detectors would be immune to the VG2. And really, every radar detector manufactured since the early 2000s have been immune to the VG2 by just shifting of the spectrum of the radar detectors. So VG2s became obsolete until about 2005, 2006, when a new company entered on the scene, and that was Stealth Microsystems. Stealth Microsystems came up with a device that they called the Spectra. And the Spectra can detect virtually every radar detector manufactured today, with the exception of 3. And those 3 radar detectors is the Bell STI. This is the Bell STI dash-mounted radar detector. the Bell STI-R, which is the remote-mounted version of the STI, and the Escort 9500 CI. Now, those three radar detectors do not emit any RF whatsoever from the radar detector. So this device, the Spectre, will not be able to detect them. So if you're driving in any of those states where radar detectors are illegal and you want a device that you're going to still be able to detect these police, you really want to concern yourself and make sure that your radar detector is invisible and get a radar detector such as the STI or the 9500i. Now, of course, to be stealth to the RDDs, you need to be stealth to the eye. A lot of times, what I recommend if you're driving in the states where radar detectors are illegal, such as Virginia or Washington, D.C., don't mount this to the windshield. It's going to be seen by the officers. There's some other mounting things you can do, such as perhaps put your radar detector in a tissue box and put a tissue box on top of your dash, or basically get a little baseball cap and cover your radar detector up with a baseball cap. But the best way to avoid detection by the eye is get a device, a radar detector, that is a remote-mounted radar detector. Here in my motorhome, I have the Bell STI-R. I have the radar detector display unit and the speaker mounted in a little cubby hole right here above my head, and the antenna for the radar detectors mounted on top of the roof of the cab. So the radar detector is not only invisible to the Spectre, but it's also invisible to the eye. So that kind of concludes some of the laws regarding the use of radar detectors in passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles. Guys and gals, if you have any questions about radar detectors, I encourage you to come over to my blog at radarroy.com, or also check out my buyer's guide at radarroysbuyersguide.com. I have a lot of information about radar detectors and jamming devices. The next video that's going to follow up to this video is going to specifically address laser jamming. So guys and gals, thank you for watching. I'll speak with you soon. This is Radar Roy. Have a great day and drive safe.